Hi everybody, and welcome to Chelsea Groton-Banks' Facebook video. Today we are crafting with Chelsea, and we're talking about how to make a wreath for inside of your home. Last week we showed you how to make coffee filter flowers. This week we're going to use the flowers that we taught you how to use last week, to make a wreath. So this week I have made two colors of the coffee filter flowers, and the ones I made last week I used food coloring for. The ones I made this week I used tea for. So I used a Lipton regular tea plus this rose hip and hibiscus tea, which makes it very red. So we got a very kind of tan flower, and then we got a really pretty pink flower. So we have these two colors that we're going to be working with today. So all I did was warm up a pot of water, pretty sizable, put 3 tea bags of each into the pot, let them steep a little bit. I pulled the tea bags out and then put the coffee filters in and just let them soak there for 5 minutes, and then pulled them out and let them dry, as I did last week with the demo from last week. So if you didn't catch last week's demo, Crafting with Chelsea, on how to make the coffee filter flowers, go ahead and watch that, because we'll walk you through how to get to the flower process. So I've made a bunch of flowers, and actually I made some small ones. What I did was I took the coffee filters after I had dyed them, folded them into 4s and cut into 4ths, and then cut a circle out of the largest part, and then I used the small circles to make smaller flowers. So I used the same process, I just cut the coffee filter. So I got 4 small rounds out of 1 coffee filter. Okay, so the other things that you're going to need for this is a wreath form. I have repurposed this wreath form. It used to have some other things on it, as you can see, which I pulled off. So this is definitely something that you can do from things that you have at home. And that is our purpose right now, is to show you how to do things from items that you have around your house. And so this I had, it was an old wreath that had some other things on it, and I just pulled the other things off so that I could have the wreath form again. You could also use the wire wreath form, one of the green ones that that you might do greenery or something on, because we're going to wrap this. So it doesn't really matter what the wreath form is. If you use a grapevine wreath, you will not need to do any wrapping. You can just apply the flowers directly. And clearly we're just not going to plop these flowers on there. You absolutely could if you wanted to fill the entire wreath form with flowers. I did not make that many, so I'm going to cover up some of the wreath with a different material. What I'm using today is some of this brown paper that comes in all of the packages that we've been getting from Amazon. So I kind of ripped it into wider strips, and I'm going to be using that. But you could also use, if you've got some streamers laying around the house, you could use those. You could use jute twine. You could use some tissue paper. I would just use, you could use ribbon. You could use whatever it is that you might have lying around the house. I liked this paper because my flowers are paper, so I'm going to go ahead and use it. I also have a hot glue gun, and my hot glue gun gets some pretty good use. So it is kind of a mess, but I have pre-warmed it up. And I'm just going to put a dollop of hot glue on my wreath just to hold my initial piece of paper. So I just put some on there to just hold it so it doesn't fly away on me. And I'm just going to start wrapping the wreath form. Now, it's paper, so it's not going to be perfect, and I think that's okay. I don't necessarily want it to look perfect. I want it to look like paper because I'm going to put some paper flowers on there, okay? So I'm gonna wrap it until I get to the end of what I have, and then I'm going to just put another little dot of glue and end my paper here, and then I have some more strips, so I'm gonna keep going all the way around. So I'll get another strip, and I'll start from where I ended before. I'll just put another dollop of glue, and I'll start my next strip by covering up the piece that I just did. So you're going to want to overlap a little bit so that you can't really see where you ended before. And I didn't cut this, I just ripped it into strips because I think that it looks more natural that way. Now I've kind of ripped a big chunk here, so what I'm going to do is just rip that off and end it. Okay, and then I'm going to start, woo, don't get hot glue on your hands, it really hurts. And then I'm going to start again with my last strip. So, you know, working with paper is tough because it wants to rip. And I don't think that you have to worry too much about perfection. You're going for that more rustic look. So, you know, don't go crazy with saying, oh, you know, this is skinnier than that, or, you know, I have a rip here. Just rip it off and end it up. Okay, so I just put a last dab of glue and I'm going to end my paper. Okay, so now I have this wreath form wrapped in paper. Now, this isn't, you know, the most beautiful thing right now, but it does look better than just a plain white styrofoam wreath. So I think we're on the right track here. So now what I'm going to do is start taking my flowers. Now you have, when you make the flowers, you end up with wire behind them like this. So you can start placing them around your wreath, and you can just wrap the wire around to get them kind of where you think they need to go. Okay, so put one on there. Maybe a pink one here. Okay, so space them however you think they need to go, and kind of look at how is this going to hang on the wall. I think I'm going to hang mine maybe this way. So build up around here maybe. I would want something maybe up here. You can group them together however it is you want. If the wire is not long enough on the back of your flower, you can absolutely just hot glue it on, or, you know, whatever you think that you want. This one I ended up doing badly on the back. Looks fine on the front, but I'm just going to add some hot glue to attach it. So now I've got, whoops, I've got this 3 flowers. Okay, so I've got this going on. I think I'm going to add some small ones in here and maybe up around here, because you can see that if I hang it like this, I'm going to have an opening right here. So I'm going to stick in one of my smaller flowers right there. So I'm just going to sneak it in there. You could do it with all big. You don't have to have any small ones. It completely is your preference. And you can absolutely have kids help you with this. It's amazing letting kids design their own things. You know, so I've got, all right, so I've added a smaller flower in there. So now I don't have a hole. So I may want to put I don't want the only small flower to be in here. So I'm going to want to put one somewhere else also. So maybe we'll just do this one up here. okay? So just put them on there so it looks, you know, like a pleasant type of a situation. So maybe I want another one here. I'm just trying to think about, you know, what I've got for flowers. I've got a couple more over here. Okay, so I'm just tying them with wire around the back. Okay, so now I've got this situation going on, so that's pretty. So I have a lot of pink down here, so I have one more of the coffee dyed flowers here, or tea dyed. You could absolutely use coffee. It would make it a lot more brown, so you could do that for sure. All right, so we have our flowers here. Now, you're going to want to put this inside your house because this is all paper, right? So while it would look absolutely stunning hanging on your front door, if it gets wet, it's going to be a disaster. So this will be more appropriate for inside your house. Okay. So now I've also used some tissue paper to cut some green leaves if you want. I'm not feeling I need them, but if you want to, all I did was fold a piece of green tissue paper and kind of cut a leaf shape out of it. You can stack it up so that you don't have to cut each one individually. You can cut like 4 or 6 at once, okay? So if I really had wanted to, I could then stick a pop of green in there. But use what you've got laying around the house. If you have some old silk flowers that you think that you want to throw away or are on old wreath, if you want to like rip the greens off them, you could absolutely put it on here. So now what I'm going to add is a bow. I'm going to put my bow right here on this side where my hand is. I have some pretty wide ribbon here that was left over from Valentine's Day one year. So I've got some pretty pink ribbon. And so here's how you make a bow. Okay, you're going to need some of your floral wire, and you're just going to cut a piece. It doesn't have to be super long. You're going to want to make it so it will go around your wreath. So maybe about 12 inches, okay? So I have a piece of floral wire. So now I'm going to take my ribbon and I'm going to make it into a circle like this. And you're just going to wrap it like 3 or 4 times around in a continuous circle. Okay. I dropped it on the floor, which is fine. It will just keep unraveling for me. All right. And then I'm going to trim it. Okay. So now I have this circle of ribbon. So I'm just going to push the front to the back like this. Okay. So I have this. I'm going to take my piece of floral wire. I'm going to scrunch it up in the middle, and I'm going to tie my floral wire around it, making sure that what I want at the back of my bow is where the tie is. Okay, so where it's going to come together. All right, make sure that it's in the center. Okay, and then all you have to do is separate your loops out. So depending upon how many loops you made, how many times around you want is how many loops you get. So if you go 4 times around, you'll end up with 4 loops on each side. So 8 loops total. If you want a bigger bow, you could go 5 or 10. But I think that 4 is pretty good. And so then you end up with this really pretty pink floral bow. So I'm just going to grab my wreath here. I am going to figure out where I think it would be. If you had a piece left over, like I do, you can add it to your wreath if you want to. So to make a tail, all you do is take your piece here and tie it to the back of your bow right in the ribbon. So just twist in that long piece to make the tail. If you want to leave a tail on there, you could leave ends out, but I can control it much better this way so that my tails are exactly where I want them to be, and they're not a pain to get going where I want them to go. So I've added a tail on there. All right, now I'm going to grab my wreath, and I am going to put it on here. You might end up squishing your bow a little bit while you're putting it on your wreath, which is fine. I'm sorry that you can't see. I'm just twisting the wire around the back of my wreath form so to get my bow on, okay? And then I've got a really pretty pink bow, and you might have to readjust it. I may have gotten it, you can slide it around a little bit. You can undo it. The great thing about using wire instead of just hot gluing it on there is if you get it on and you don't like where it is, you can fix it. So I'm just gonna slide mine up a little bit. All right, and then you're gonna poof out your bow a little bit more because I crushed it a little bit while I was getting it on my wreath. Okay. And then we have this wreath that we could then hang in our house on our wall above a fireplace. This one's pretty small, so it might not go above a fireplace, but definitely maybe with your spring decorations. Hello. So the cat likes the wreath. So have a great day, get creative and get crafting, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye.